So we're going to be looking at two examples and how to use Desmos when looking at examples of quadratic equations. So just one thing I want to point out really quickly is we can use values to substitute in for these letters, these variables in our equations. This is the generic form of a quadratic equation. You start with a x squared plus bx plus c. That a value is going to be telling us a lot. It's going to tell us if our graph opens up or down, and it's also going to help tell us if we have a minimum or a maximum. If it's positive, my graph will open up. If it's negative, my graph will open down. Also, if it's positive, I know I'll have a minimum. If it's negative, I'll have a maximum. But we don't need to memorize that because we can use Desmos in order to help us figure this out. So I'm going to go to desmos.com. And what you are going to do is once you go type in desmos.com, you're going to click Start Graphing. You should get a page that looks like this. So we are going to type in our first example, x squared plus 4x plus 3. So you can use your keyboard, x. If you don't know how to do the squared, you can hit Shift 6, which will move it up, and you can get a 2. Or you can use this Show Keypad feature at the bottom, and this a squared button will give you an x squared. Now if we look back, it's x squared plus 4x plus 3. So we'll type plus 4x plus 3. So here I have a picture of my graph. You can move it around, you can zoom in or out over on this side. You can use all those features, okay? So what will this graph tell me? Well, first of all, I can see that my graph opens up. The lines are, if I drew arrows on the end, they would be pointed at the top. I can also find my minimum or my vertex, which in this case is at -2, -1, my x-intercepts, and if I click on them, it'll show me those points. It'll show me the value of those points, so I don't even need to look at my graph to figure them out. And I can also find my y-intercept. I can also use this function on Desmos to find out what values I would get in a table. So if you click this Edit List button and hit Convert to Table, I'm given a table. I can find all those values between -2 and 2. And if you wanted more of them, you just type them in. If I want to figure out what the value is at -4, at -3, at 3, or at 4, which is what your assignment today is going to have you do, you don't have to calculate those. If you type those x values into your table, you'll get all those values written out. So let's look at our other example now. If I want to get rid of this, all I have to do is hit the X button and it'll go completely away. Now if I look at my second equation, -x squared plus 8x minus 12, I'll type that in. -x squared plus 8x minus 12. So again, my graph shows up over on the side. I can find my vertex. I can find my x-intercepts. And if I move this down, I can also find my y-intercept. Again, you may have to shift that graph around, zoom in or out to help you figure out those values a little bit better. If I want to find the table of values, again, I hit this little gear button that says Edit List and hit the Convert to Table. And just like before, I have the values from -2 to 2, and I can always type in more values if I want them to fill in my table. That way, I don't have to substitute the values in. I'm just given the answer. Now, if we want to, we can substitute our values into our equation. Take this equation right up here, x squared plus 8x minus 12. I can copy it down there, but I want to replace my x's. Let's pick 2 because I know I should get out 0. So I'm going to replace all of my x's with 2's. If I do that, I get out 0, which is exactly what my table said. So you can do either way, but I like using that table option because I don't have to do any work in order to get my y values. The last question on your show what you know section for this week is to match graphs with equations, and I find the easiest way to do that is to type those equations in. So if I had x squared plus 3x minus 2, whoops, that's a plus. I can see exactly what my graph would look like and match it with the correct one on my graph. Desmos is a wonderful tool to use, and hopefully this video helped you learn a little bit more how to navigate around.